Šobrīd klātienē man ir pievienojusies valsts policijas galvenās.
I am happy to be joined by Ieva Bondare, Senior Inspector at the International Cooperation Division of State Police, who will give her presentation now. So please, Ieva, the floor is yours. Good afternoon, everyone.
Today, with this conference going on, just wanted to say that this presentation is going to be in English. So later on, you can ask questions in Latvian and English, so there's no problems there. Start off, I work in International Cooperations Department as a senior inspector in the first unit. The first unit works with Cyrene and Interpol information channels, exchange channels. And Cyrene platform is where we usually receive all the necessary information. It's persons who are being searched internationally within the Schengen zone, and Interpol is with Red Note. This is about people who are searched international in the whole. There are other aspects to it: missing people, objects who are missing, looking for all sorts of information and sub-basis of it. Takeover and handover of persons serving a custodial sentence is one of the activities and responsibilities that we do in our unit. And so, as you can see, these two Council framework decisions in this project might be the most important ones. And as they are implemented throughout the European Union, they are as well implemented in our national legislation. Nationally, the Council framework decisions have been implemented in criminal procedure law. There are two chapters that are in, these two chapters is in which we find our articles on basis we can execute the handovers and takeovers. This is the chapter 16 and 17. Within these chapters, there are two, in each chapter, articles that we use so we can proceed with our necessary arrangements for handovers and takeovers. But they have many more within themselves, which are implemented from the decision framework. All of the articles, there are for court decisions, for interinstitutional communications, and for us to carry out a person's takeover, we need to look at Articles 759 and 768. These two articles are used and registered in our convoy journals when we carry out a person's handovers. And this is the part that, why am I here, is the national procedure, how we carry out when the person is needed to be convoyed and handed over. First of all, we receive from Ministry of Justice a task to International Cooperation Department to execute a takeover of a person serving a custodial sentence in a foreign country. We cannot proceed with our takeover procedures if we haven't received all the necessary documentations for us to move forwards. One of those documents is a decision from a regional or district court here in Latvia. So the decision needs to be issued by a judge for further proceedings. Decision contains a recognition and the outline of imposed custodial sentence. It is very important in this decision to have the sentence that has been imposed. Otherwise, our prison department won't know the person how much time he has to serve within our territories. And the recognition is also part of it, and it's necessary. So once we have received this decision and all the necessary information from our court and our Ministry of Justice, Cyrene Interpol information exchange channels are used to send necessary information to a foreign country in which the person that we are taking over is currently serving his custodial sentence. Basically, a travel request, a travel request is sent to the foreign country informing that we are ready to take the person over. Without the travel date, there are 10 days in which we have to take over the person. And the travel dates are necessary for us to know the point where we can meet the foreign countries officers and where we can take the person over. Usually when they're in the country, within the European borders, the person is convoyed to us in Latvia at the airport, or if it's one of the Baltic states, then at the border. If the country is a third country, for example, the Russian Federation or Belarus, then we also go to the border, but if it was somewhat like Turkey or Barbados, then we have to leave for that country to take over the person. They don't convoy the person to us. So once the travel dates are clear and we can move forwards with it, the confirmation has been sent through an Interpol channel or Siren channel, depending on which country is sending it. The convoy details, well, the convoy usually is someone from the International Cooperation Department. Within the unit, there are about 12 people, officers, who work within the framework of taking people over or convoying them from other countries if they're being searched internationally. But sometimes, well, now, I guess most times, we use regional police officers to help us out with the convoys because they have separate units for that. The information to Department of Corrections is sent by us that the person is being taken over and is going to be convoyed to the prison, which is Riga Central Prison, from which is the starting point when we go forwards to when they are convoying them to actual prisons. Is it in Daugavpils or Valmiera, wherever? We don't know exactly where he's going to serve his sentence. We have to get the person to the Riga Central Prison, if it's within the airport point of pickup. And then the takeover and convoy to prison and other institutions. If it's not a custodial sentence, it might be other, like medically claimed, some measurements that the person has to serve. The statistics for takeovers from foreign countries, as you can see, has been, the most of them have been in 2019, and two of the most popular countries that our citizens serve or get a sentence is United Kingdom and Lithuania. Also, Russian Federation, which is a third country, because, well, I guess our citizens do like the Russia a lot. And as you can see from the statistics, 2020 has been slightly down due to COVID-19. A lot of the takeovers have been stopped or currently just in proceedings because of the travel restrictions and 10-day quarantines and everything. But I believe we have a very good communication with other countries when we exchange information, and all the decisions and documents have been received. There shouldn't be anything that's stopping us to take over the person and proceed further. So the country-wise, I think, are in good relations. The other part of our job, aside from takeovers, is execution in a foreign country of a punishment imposed in Latvia. It's a little bit rarer because there are not a lot of foreign citizens in Latvia who are currently serving a custodial sentence and wants to go back to their own country. Well, generally from the provisions that are in clause in criminal procedure law, these are separate articles. It's 821 and 829. Both of them are applicable, but one of them is more about the third country correspondence and how people from third countries can serve their sentences in their own countries. The national procedure is basically the same, but there is no start point where we receive documentation and has a decision from a regional or district court, because we receive from the Ministry of Justice a task that we should be executing a handover of person because all of the necessary communications have been done. And then from that task we receive in paperback or using the e-signature, we then proceed on Interpol information exchange channel, saying that we have received all necessary tasks and a travel request for the foreign country. They have to send us a travel then when they are ready, because we can basically convoy the person at any point. We just need from that person, from the foreign country, from the officers in charge to receive the travel data when they are ready to receive him over the border or at the international. At this stage, if it's it would be taking a person, a foreign citizen, back to their country, we would be executing it. The Baltic states, we are close by to each other, so all of this we just meet in the middle point with Lithuania and Estonia and proceed with handovers and takeovers on the borderline. But in this case, as the citizen is serving a sentence here for a crime he did here, then for him to serve it at his own country, we would be convoying the person to that country via airplane or automobile travel. Once we have received the confirmation that they have received our message about the travel exchanges, they send us a travel plan to which we agree or disagree due to the time changes or need to change the time and place. But if it's all right, then the confirmation is on the way for the handover. Convoy details are basically the same as well, because we usually proceed with the, as we are flying to the country where the foreign citizen currently is in Latvia serving the custodial sentence, then we would be executing the handover with the help of regional police department as they are partnering up with us. So we can convoy it safely with 2 people in the convoy and there would be no issues further. The same goes when we are convoying someone to the border. It could be both from International Cooperations Department, but usually it's one from us and one from the regional police. Very tight contact with them. Information to the Department of Corrections is about the decision that has been imposed and that we need to pick up the person from the prison or from the medical facility or where he's currently serving a different kind of measurement. They don't need any decisions, they just need to know what time and place we are going to be there to pick the person up and drive him or fly him to the country we are taking to. The decision part, we only use the travel management registry that is basically just goes along the way that we are here as officers of the law and that we are conveying this person according to the article 8221 or for the handover 759. So for us, the bases are in these 4 articles. And the statistics are, well, we don't really have a lot of foreign citizens currently serving custodial sentence that are asking to be serving it overseas to their own countries. But as you can see, we have with Lithuania good communications and with Estonia, as there are 2 bordering countries in our Baltic states, and Russian Federation. There are some Russian citizens who are serving the sentence here for crimes they did here and asking to serve it in Russian Federation. We also had, at the start of this year, a medical measurement for medically, he was in asylum in Tiesu Street for a crime he did here, and it was there was decided that he doesn't need a custodial sentence, but medically based custodial sentence, and he asked to serve it in Lithuania. It went very, as far as I can tell, it went very well, and the measurements was taken very fast, and we could convoy the person at a very short time, within 10 or 15 days, which is a good thing, because as long as we can proceed with the decisions at a faster base, with everything that has been, with the decisions made and everything we have received, everything is in order, then it's better for the person as he doesn't have to sit and serve the sentence here for a very long time, as he wants to go to his own country. Problematics, we don't really have a lot of problematics from our side, but there are a few things which I have already mentioned before, that the person handover takeover takes a substantial length of time. For instance, there are cases which have been on standstill for about 2 years. I have personally a case which has been going over for 2 years. And for my colleague, also for 2 years from Turkey, mine is from Russian Federation. As we write to the Russian Federation or Turkey saying that we are ready to take over the person, because we already have received a court decision that everything is in order, he has a sentence or she has a sentence to serve, and that the basis and acknowledgement has been already decided that it's okay. Nothing has really moved forward. With third countries, usually it takes a little bit longer, I guess because their communications and the last final decisions to make from both sides. And these cases just are on standstill for 2 years. Once we receive a go-to, then it's within 10 days we can proceed with it. In both of the cases, it's third country, so we would be traveling to the third country to receive our citizen. The second part is sometimes we have communication aspects. Usually communication between Ministry of Justice, regional courts, and international cooperation is impeccable, really. We can always contact the court or Ministry of Justice. It's just a telephone, basically a call away or an email away. But there are some cases where some of the information does not reach one or the other institution. It's usually a little less threatening as it sounds now. The miscommunication, I think, happens when we receive the court decision before we have received go-to from the Ministry of Justice. And within that, we have received a decision, so by the law, we can proceed with the person handover. But the Ministry of Justice has to give us a task to proceed with it because they might have some of the aspects not sorted by the country who is, sending out this decision with the custodial sentence. So that's being managed at this point. And there is a peculiar difference, which is not European Union-based, but with the Russian Federation. This is a difference that we really can't understand till the very end, that once the department has established the travel date and time, at the exchange point, it is necessary for Latvia convoy to pay 1,000 rubles to Russian officers for us to take over the person who is serving the sentence in Russia. And this transaction happens in cash, so it's a little, we really don't know why it's necessary. As we are told by officials from Russian Federation, it's an exit visa, one-time exit visa. And it's a peculiar thing because the 1,000 rubles, then we have to find an exchange point for the money that there's necessary. And as we sometimes use regional officers, and Russian border is closer to Latgo region, which would then we convey all the necessary details to them. It's a little bit hard with the rate exchange and how to explain to our colleagues in Daugavpils why is this happening exactly and how would we transact the money to them. Well, that is one of the peculiar things about it. International Cooperations Department works hand in hand with Ministry of Justice and Regional Court, which grants the takeovers and handovers. We three institutions have to keep communications open so we can work better and faster, and so as far as I can tell, we have managed it very well. Without the one or the other, it's really hard to communicate and proceed with handovers and takeovers, which, well, basically is about our citizens' placement of custodial sentence. International Cooperation Department has the role of an executor. Therefore, it is vital for us to receive all the necessary documents and decisions for us to proceed with handovers and takeovers. So if one of those parts do not work, then we cannot execute our main task, which is taking over a person. So we don't make decisions regarding all of this situation, but for us to proceed with the necessary tasks, it is necessary for us to receive everything that tasks hold within and responsibilities that the person can be taken over and we don't breach any laws or any bylaws or other basis for the person's custodial sentence. So everything is in order, basically. Information exchange is carried out through Cyrene and Interpol for handovers and takeovers for persons with custodial sentences. We usually go with Interpol information channel because it's easier and faster that we receive and send the messages, because Cyrene channel is more for the Schengen information system usage, which are forms and that the person has been already in international search. It's a platform which it's better used when the person is already searched internationally. So the 26th of article for persons who are for extradition purposes. So Interpol is better because it's wider and you can send all sorts of information regarding that. And it doesn't have to be conveyed in one box or the other because this is, well, it's basically checking a lot of boxes, the handovers and takeovers of persons. International Cooperation Department oversees the procedure up until takeover and handover, at the time of it and afterwards. We have received some of requests from other countries and from our institutions asking where the person is serving a custodial sentence exactly. It really doesn't depend in our tasks, which we have only, our main task is to receive necessary information, carry out the decision has been made, and afterwards inform all the institutions that are in charge. Once we have received requests after a few years asking where the person currently is, it really doesn't fall within our jurisdictions, although we still answer, of course, tell people where institutions in other countries or our own where the person currently is serving the sentence. What I wanted to say before the end is that information exchange between institutions, I think, has been going very strongly, and also with foreign countries, especially with Baltic states. When we have to hand over a takeover person, it's a very easy procedure because the person is, well, you can always go with handovers and takeovers to the border, and it's, of course, making this a little easier to execute. We do have foreign countries, faraway countries. We have gone to Bermudas and to China and Japan to take over a person, our citizen, for a custodial sentence. And due to COVID-19 issues currently, we have a lot of custodial sentence imposements on standstills. We really can't go anywhere at this point because well, the COVID-19 measurements within our Cabinet of Ministers direction says that really can't execute anything. And the standstills are taking a toll as we receive a lot of requests from like USA and also other countries within the European Union asking when are we ready to take them over. Currently, we really can't respond to them because there are no current measurements saying how much time we can, because this is something we didn't see for happening COVID-19. So we really don't know where we stand. Do we wait for like till COVID-19 is down, or is there a decision that we can proceed with it because other countries have different measurements and the people are there for quite a while now. From USA, there are 3 years. Italy is like 9 to 12 months now that he's asked to be served in Latvia, and we haven't proceeded with it. So that's an issue we're working on currently to see how we can get our citizens back to our country. So that would be it. Thank you for listening. And if you have questions now, proceed. But if you would rather ask them, then there's an email address in the presentation that you can also send your questions to. Thank you.
Paldies. Thank you, Ieva. Paldies. So, vai mums ir kādi jautājumi?
Any questions? Now we have this opportunity for asking questions just by unmuting yourselves, but you can also write to Ieva and ask the questions. If we have no questions from the audience, may I? While listening to your presentation, I kept imagining all the Hollywood movies on transferring inmates. Could you tell us which is your film, which is your movie, perhaps that you remember the most, which really complies with the reality when you see how inmates are being conveyed? Wow, the movies that really reflect the reality. A Con Air, I would say, but probably not. Mickey Rourke is not involved. Well, I've seen movies, and whenever some police officers are involved, or criminals, or convoys, there's some truth is there. But no movie would reflect this, all the paperwork, and also all those phoning and emails and receiving documents and transferring documents and getting in touch with institutions. And in the very end, we only deal with convoying of the criminals. And it's not really an exciting event. Actually, those persons who are being convoyed are very peaceful. Well, there are some exceptional cases, but in general, they are very, very calm. So actually, so the paperwork is harder than the convoying itself. Thank you, Ieva.